Before I begin this topic, I want to go ahead and say something up front here. I am not shitting on roleplayers in the slightest. I think roleplay is a valid part of this game, and if there's something that you enjoy in it, then that's fine. You like what you like. I myself am involved in a role-playing guild, and am a co-leader of the roleplay within it. I have been roleplaying in this game since Mr. Pandaria, and I find it fun. But there are some things that I don't like about it, and this is one of those things. So, with that being said, please sit back and enjoy the video. For those of you who have had the misfortune of seeing these in your custom group finders, I apologize. I apologize on behalf of the actual roleplay communities in World of Warcraft because these are not what make up the actual majority of the player base. Whatever these abominations are, it isn't roleplay. It's a cesspool full of immature children who are too brain dead to comprehend what the word roleplay even means. I'm getting a bit ahead of myself here, but I figured I'd make my stance clear on this beforehand, just so that you know I'm not advocating for anyone to join on this fecal matter of a product that has been given into the game since the thought of Cataclysm and an empty Gilneas hits the minds of many. So, what am I getting at here? And what even is a pre-made roleplay, as the title of this video would suggest I'm going to talk about? I'll try to break it down into a simple definition because if I went through every single pre-made and identified all the problems within them, this would become a 2-hour-long session of me shitting on actual kids. Pre-made roleplays are essentially gathering a bunch of people together for a scenario and then acting out the said scenario with your characters. One of the most popular examples amongst this community of brain-dead troglodytes is the Gilneas roleplay. I write this one down for you because if you know this concept, you'll know most of the others. Basically put, you try to gather a group of 20 to 30 people, gather them into one spot, place down raid markers, and then assign each person to a certain role. One may be a king, a queen, a prince, a princess, then you have your civilians, rebels, ferals. This is a role, I'm not sure why. Innkeeper guards, and the likes. What I should also mention is that gathering this many people takes about 2 to 3 hours, depending on what time you do it. And also put, the people who join are mostly the same people. It's like a non-existent community within a community. It's a communityception, if you will. Anyway, how the leader roles are decided is you basically send out some sort of macro about how you'll rule your kingdom or rebellion or whatever else you're going to lead. And the raid leader, if they're not 8 years old, will pick someone based off of their emote. Although contrary to popular belief, most of these guys won't actually pick you if your emote is good or even remotely related to the topic. No joke, I once got a king roll in one of these by emoting 11 paragraphs of me eating a bowl of macaroni and cheese. The raid leader said he didn't want to read that much and just assumed it was a good emote, so I got the roll. In that example in lies the problem with this system. You see, the concept of this type of pre-made setup would make for some potentially good roleplay if done out proper, but the word potential is about where it stops. 98% of these roleplays have some level that ends up forcing it to be either mediocre or completely chaotic. But we'll go ahead and get to that in just a minute. After the roles are selected, everyone splits up into places. Royal family members usually get the Greymane Manor, civilian roles usually get Stormglen or Keel Harbor, depending on which inn the innkeeper wants to open, and then the rebellion will usually take place within Emberzone Village or the mines. Oh, and the ferals get Blackwold. Would there really be anywhere else? Now, I'm not going to sit here and tell you everything that goes on in these roleplays because ultimately it's up to the people within them to keep it going. I will say there's usually about a 10 to 15 minute grace period before anyone can attack another person, so people aren't just outright killing one another in the beginning. But for the most part, besides that, anything can go short of the leader's discretion. And in one example, I've pretty well described how all the others work. Form a group, pick up your roles, go to your places, start. That's really all there is to it. Now again, this doesn't seem too bad. What exactly makes this a harmful part of the game, or at least one that I can't stomach? Well, never mind that a completely new kingdom of Gilneas wouldn't make sense in the context of lore of World of Warcraft, which by the way, they don't acknowledge that either. If we're just looking at this from a pure roleplay perspective, it's garbage because of the people who actually join these roleplays. Let's go ahead and start at the top of the food chain. As I mentioned, I got a king role in one I decided to join as a meme by sending a letter of an emote of me eating a bowl of macaroni and cheese for 11 paragraphs. Because most leaders of these roleplays tend to be either too young to read or too incompetent and lazy, you'll most likely get a role even if what you're saying doesn't pertain to the subject at hand. The leaders of these roleplays tend to be unable to actually handle a leading role and are more doing it because they have a complex issue that they need to solve internally but haven't done it yet. When you give power to stupid people or ignorant, depending on the age, the rest of the structure underneath it tends to crumble. Most of the leaders of these roleplays can't tell if someone's joking, trolling, doing something that they probably shouldn't be doing, or are tricked into doing something that results in everyone hating that said leader for the duration of the roleplay. You're essentially asking a literal 10-year-old to manage to 20 to 40 people. And yeah, that isn't going to happen. I don't care how mature you think they might be, they are not in that type of position to do so. This can lead to some hijinks that admittedly can be funny for those who don't care about these roleplays so much, but it's not so funny for everybody else trying to participate in them. We'll get to that in a minute though. The leaders tend to break down under pressure from peers in multiple different ways, ranging from starting roleplays prematurely with like 10 people, which you can't actually do, to having teenagers lead raid chat into spam rolling, to over-the-top graphic chats going on during what should be roleplay time. Name anything you want to. Literally anything. I guarantee you, this topic has been touched on at least once in the raid chat of these roleplays. And that will actually lead me to my next point, and that is the people who join. Imagine a classroom where people are supposed to be learning and studying on a subject. The only problem is there is no teacher in this classroom. Instead, it's one of the peers who doesn't know what they're doing. The result is a classroom full of people who will do whatever they want to, be it in good intentions or bad. Since there is no structure, the organization at the study quickly falls into chaos and collapses. This summarizes what a pre-made roleplay is perfectly. You put 20 to 40 people who have no idea what they're actually doing into a scenario. Since there's no real sense of direction, objective, guide, anything of the sorts, it typically falls into chaos and within an hour collapses in on itself. For some who join, this isn't intentional. There are people who genuinely want to roleplay or learn how to roleplay within these pre-modes. But for every person who is meandering in mediocrity, you have another person who's quickly coming in and doing something obligatory to destroy the entire foundation at hand. Trollers, memers, and bad roleplays all mixed into a group is never a good thing, and it can quickly result in a stressful, anger-inducing waste of time that no one should have wasted 2 hours to start in the first place. Remember what I said just a little bit ago? These people don't have filters. They just do whatever they want, and they really don't have any rules or regulations. Since the leaders aren't able to manage things, the role players tend to be festering with so many different problems of trolling and other activities. And it's a shame because those who are trolling the roleplays tend to be some of the better backstories for the server's roleplay community. What I mean is these people who are actually doing these are self-aware about how garbage these roleplays can actually be, and as a result they go in and destroy them, citing them as not real roleplay. Which, as mean as it sounds to jump on others for what they're doing, I have to say that I can't disagree with them. No real story is being put into these roleplays. Nothing is happening but a bunch of people kind of meshing together in one zone, and even if someone attempts to do something, getting 20 to 40 other people to agree to follow along isn't an easy task. It takes a strong leader for these types of premades to be successful, and the reality is there aren't too many of those. Out of how many roleplays I've joined just to see how they went down, only one, yes, one, has had a decent playout. The rest has had a result of this, and when I say this, I'm talking about all the roleplays, not just the Gilneas ones. It results in either a troll getting assist and mass kicking everyone leaving because there wasn't enough going to keep it interesting, people leaving because the trolling was getting out of hand. Think of basically any way negative that could result in a group leaving, and that's what the outcome would be for all but one singular roleplay. It's a shame, really, especially when you think about the fact that most of these people who are in these roleplays range from about 8 to 14. They may already have stressful lives, and then they come on a game trying to get into a roleplay that will never work because it's very likely doomed to fail before it even began. And you might be wondering, how do I know all this? What makes me so aware of the premades and their existence? The reality is, I was once a person who joined these roleplays for almost 3 to 4 times a week. See, I wanted to get into roleplay when I was younger, and I saw these premades as a way to improve my overall writing skill and abilities. But in reality, what I got was exactly what I'm telling you now. This wasn't a place for me to improve, but rather take a step back and devolve. I didn't learn anything from these roleplays because everyone was either too busy trying to learn themselves or were too busy trying to meme in order to teach. And in that environment, I'm going to be honest and say you really can't teach someone how to get better at roleplay in that regard, because it goes back to the classroom scenario. Without a guide, there is no actual way to grasp your head around the concepts of it. I eventually stopped being an idiot and grew out of the premades because I became aware of how awful they actually were, and how stressful it can be to be in one just because all the fun in it couldn't be had. Instead, I found other ways to improve that resulted in me being a co-leader of a guild on a roleplay server and help others enjoy the game in a way that those in the pre-made roleplays are searching for. And if honestly you're trying to get into roleplay yourselves, I encourage you to stay for the next couple of minutes and I'll go ahead and tell you what I did. Here's some of the lessons that I can give you. Number 1, don't join these. They're a pointless endeavor and you'll just find yourself looping in a circle of anger, frustration, and disappointment. It's not worth the time to get into a pre-made. Second, learn to use the basic things such as capitalization, punctuation, grammar, and descriptions. Also learn the /e mechanic, which, if you type /e, you can basically emote your character doing certain things. These alone will make you sound more dignified and in turn give you a shot in the roleplay community. Which leads me to my third point. Join a roleplay server. I know moving servers isn't an option for everyone, but ultimately if you want to try out the roleplay aspects enough to go into premades, it's worth making a new character and seeing what actual roleplay communities have to offer. You'll be able to see how people are interacting with their characters and improve overall. It's noted that if someone goes into a new country and has never spoken the language there, in about 2 months they can at least process a good amount of that language and speak fluently to get by. The same logic applies here. Surround yourself with experienced role players, and you yourself will begin to draw some of that experience. Fourthly, get the add-ons Total Roleplay, Emote Splitter, and Listener. These 3 will be crucial to getting you started in your roleplay journey. Total Roleplay, or TRP3 as it's called, will give you an option to customize a backstory for your character, as well as give them a physical description to your liking. Think of things like height, weight, age, so many things to describe the way your character actually looks. And don't be afraid to get creative with it. Emote Splitter basically allows you to send more than 1 paragraph at a time, so you're not stuck to the 255 character limit. If you have a descriptive emote that requires more than 1 paragraph, Emote Splitter helps you not get stuck having to continue writing after that previous statement. Finally, Listener is an add-on that will ping you if someone is directly addressing you or the person you've targeted says something. It can help if there's a lot of people around to have this, as you won't lose the person you're talking to's emote or if they say something. And the last thing I'm going to recommend is find a roleplay community that will take you on and help you out. Within the server, although there are elitist gods who believe that they are the best in their craft, you'll find people who are willing to help you step out into the roleplay world and give you a chance to set yourself up. You'll improve exponentially with that, as others will be around constantly to help you move in the right direction and give you what a pre-made can't: a guide. It's unfortunate to see that pre-mades can't really have an actual experience, but I'd like to know if you agree or disagree with me on this point. Comment down below your thoughts on the topic, as I'd be more interested in seeing on your opinion. Subscribe for more content if you like this video, and follow me on twitch.tv/GameXGame, where I stream every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 8 Central. Thanks everyone, and take care.